Spirit Sports Consultants presents
Week 7 top game picks. We're going to look at some key games: Detroit, Minnesota, KC, San Francisco. This is our second video. We're actually going to give line recommendations, totals recommendations like we did last week. This is our results from last week: 9-3-1 against the spread. Starting off with that tough loss, we took the Seahawks for some reason at home. We have a bit of a home bias here, we'll admit that. Jags, Bears, we love the Bears in that one. We have a whole video about the NFC North. Commanders, Ravens, we took both the over. We got that line at 47.5, closed at 51, and we took the Commanders plus 7.5. That's a lucky win. We'll take it. We got off that key 7 number. Texans, Patriots, I just couldn't pick against my Texans. Had them winning by 4. The line was 7. Didn't like the Patriots, the rookie quarterback Drake May starting. Bucs, Saints, this flip. We had the Saints until we found out about the Derek Carr injury. Moved us to the Bucs, but we always loved the over. We thought the number dropped once Carr's injury. We kind of felt Rattler would be able to put up some numbers, and he did. Packers, Cardinals, we love the money line. Green Bay. Colts, Titans, took the L for that one. For some reason, we went with the Titans. Chargers, Broncos, we got that one. Lions, Cowboys, probably our best pick of the week. Got burnt taking a home dog with the Panthers. We regret that. Bengals, Giants, we love the Bengals in that one. We're leaning towards the under also. And the Bills, Jets, that line was 1.5. We got it early, got the Jets plus 3, saved us from a loss. We took the push in that one for the 1. Lions at the Vikings in this game that could really decide the NFC North race, at least who's got the early advantage. We love what the Vikings have been doing on both offense and defense. Sam Darnold's clearly having a career year. We got to give due props to Kevin O'Connell on that coaching job that he's done, and Brian Flores on the defense. That aggressive front that he uses confuses a lot of teams, really confused C.J. Stroud early in the season. The only loss the Texans have had. We like the Vikings here 28-21 for a couple reasons. They're at home. I think that's a huge, loud home field advantage they've got there. And then the Lions coming off that road game at Dallas, they look great, right? That's usually when teams might slip up a little bit. So if this game were in Detroit, we pick the Lions. We think these teams are that close. Check out our video we're putting on Saturday. Who wins the NFC North? We talk about the favorites, who's got the best shot for that division. Texans are the Packers, featuring 2 of the best young quarterbacks in the league. You've got Jordan Love facing C.J. Stroud. We like what both these offenses are doing. They're getting back healthy. We look at this game. We think it's going to come down to who makes the fewest mistakes. That's kind of a duh comment, right? We also think it's going to come down to pass rush. And with that, the Texans get Denico Autry back from his, 4 to 6 game suspension. We think that makes the difference as the Texans win narrowly on the road, 24-21 over the Pack at Lambeau. We would have set this line at Green Bay -1, but the lines we're seeing around is Green Bay -2.5 to 3. We think the Texans will win anyway. So let's find that 3. Let's get it up to 3.5 and take the Texans as an underdog line. Again, we look at what Green Bay did. We think the fact that they blew out Arizona, set this line as high as it is. We'll take advantage of it, take the Texans. Chargers at the Cardinals. In our earlier video, we talked about Jim Harbaugh's efforts and the fact that the Chargers haven't really even utilized Justin Herbert for what you could do. We think this might be one of those games in which they unleash him a little bit, going up against that Cardinals' poorest defense. If you see what they did against the Packers, it wasn't pretty. But the Chargers on the defensive side should be able to slow down Kyler Murray. We like them winning here on the road, 23-20, close. Tough, hard-fought game, just the way that they like it. Might be tough on a back-to-back road game, but we think that Harbaugh's coaching, we think that's going to overcome that liability. Take the Chargers here. We've learned that sometimes when you pick games, you have an unconscious bias against one team or for one team. We think we might have had that with the Falcons a little bit. Part of that is we spent 15 years in ATL. We saw them as a chronic underachiever. Hate to bring this up, 28-3. They're just one of those teams that, they might lose a game they should win. Seahawks are kind of in the same boat. Geno Smith, we really thought he'd bounce back to his 2022 form. Hasn't quite done that yet, but we like what we're seeing with the Falcons offense. We thought they'd struggle a little bit at Carolina, being a division game, outdoors. Like him here, 24-21 over the visiting Seahawks. With a 24-21 score prediction, we looked at the totals numbers when they came out. They're at 47, so not much of an advantage here. Drifted up all the way to 51.5. That's stratospheric. We think this is Lions, Ravens, Commanders territory, not necessarily Falcons, Seahawks. We don't trust those erratic quarterbacks. Geno Smith and Kirk Cousins are not Jared Goff or Lamar Jackson. Not quite. So we're going to go with the under here, 51.5. And next up, we have the Thursday game, which we're referring to as the Sean Payton Bowl, as Broncos head coach and former Saints head coach returns to the Caesars Superdome to face his old team. We hope they give him a friendly welcome. He is the man that brought the only Saints Super Bowl championship and really gave them an opportunity to win several more if they weren't cheated by the refs in that Rams NFC championship game. That was an awful, awful thing. Anyway, for this game, we think the Broncos are going to bounce back a little bit. We're curious here. We're going to put this as a conditional pick. Look for the injury report of Derek Carr or Taysom Taysom Hill comes back, we're going to shift to the Saints. But if it stands with Spencer Rattler, I think Bo Nix has had more experience this year. He's going to bounce back from what was a questionable early performance against the Chargers, but a really great fourth quarter. Go back and watch that game. They turned it on there. I think they outscored them 14-0 in the fourth quarter. Really good run. So we think the Broncos bounce back and give Sean Payton a measure of revenge against his old team. And before we continue, if you would, just join our channel. And if you like this video or find it useful, like it and then subscribe. We provide weekly NFL picks, highlights, and sports travel. Thank you. Panthers at the Commanders. The Panthers, even though they lost against the Falcons, they're playing a lot better under Andy Dalton than they were under Bryce Young. We like what the running back Hubbard has been doing. They got a nice balanced offensive approach, but boy, you know how we feel about Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. We think he's the top performing rookie quarterback by far. I think the Commanders, they need to address some issues. The commentator said it yesterday with their secondary before they can truly be elite, but we think offensively they're going to be able to outscore most teams, at least till they get to the playoffs, and it might become difficult, assuming they make the playoffs. We like them here, though, 30-14 over the visiting Panthers. We think this sets them up for a nice run, maybe a division championship. And as you might expect, this line is a little bit inflated with the Commanders -8, -8.5 at some spots. See if you can get this line down to 6.5. Want to stay off that 7 key number, of course. If not, put this in a teaser leg. We love this matchup. We don't want to get stuck with a high line. And next up, we have the Dolphins at the Colts. This is a game we definitely would caution you against taking a position for because we simply don't know much about the current state of these teams. And what I mean by that is we think the Colts are going to go back to Anthony Richardson, despite the fact that Joe Flacco's had a great, 2 or 3 games now, and probably looks like he should be the starter. But, you got to go back to the original guy, high draft pick, etc. And then the Dolphins, we don't know what they're going to do on offense either. Mike McDaniel hasn't shown that many adjustments, in our opinion, considering he's got such great speed, such dynamic weapons on offense. Then again, on defense, they suffered some severe injuries. Jalen Phillips looks like he's out for another season. We like the Colts here, but again, don't recommend a wager on this game. Titans at the Bills. When we look at the Titans, we really think they should give Mason Rudolph a start, just give Will Levis a bit of a break. When we analyze this game, you see, in our opinion, the decision making is just not fast enough. And some of the decisions are forced. That's why you see some key turnovers at the wrong time. On the flip side of that, look at Josh Allen. The Bills really survived a tough 3-game road stretch. Think about it. They looked horrible against Baltimore, but that's the Ravens, right? Run all over everybody. Could have won the game against the Texans and came back for that tough Monday night win against the Jets. Now they're back home. We're interested to see if they can pull off another run. We think they can. 24-17 Bills. Ravens at the Bucs. Interesting matchup here. We're going to see a lot of offense. We think the Ravens are going to go 3 straight games with an offensive explosion, having put up tons of points against the Bengals. Then this past week against the Commanders. Now the Bucs, who have a lot of injuries on the secondary and the defense overall. We again have to revisit that one statistic. We think this is critical. 22-1 now. Lamar Jackson is 22-1 against NFC teams, and of course the Bucs are an NFC team. But we look at this game and we ran the numbers on this. It came back a little interesting. It really came back as a tie. So when we go look at it a little more critically, we think the play here is going to be the over. Take a look at that. We'll give you the pick here. We look at the Ravens having more of a balanced attack. Buccaneers are pretty much strictly a passing team, so we like that duality, that balanced offense. We think the Ravens take a close one here. We had to pick 31-28, but look for the totals number here. Anything maybe 51, take the over. The totals number opened at 46.5. We jumped all over that to the over. We're seeing it move now anywhere between 47.5 to 48. We still say take it now for the over. Once the number hits 49, maybe think twice about it because that's a key 28-21 combination. Jets at the Steelers. We were really looking forward to this matchup even before the Devontae Adams trade. Curious to see what that does to change the chemistry. You're obviously going to have 1 or 2 receivers that are the odd man or men out, and will Aaron Rodgers immediately click? We clearly see a decline in his performance. He is not the Aaron Rodgers we remember from Green Bay, period, the end. We also like to focus on a team that might be more about the collective unit, which is what Mike Tomlin always seems to get with the Pittsburgh Steelers. A lot of times they are not the most talented team out there. They play great together. They're cohesive, team focused. We like that far more than the Jets, and we're going to call right now, we hate to even say it, they're now prima donna quarterback that we no longer are fans of in Aaron Rodgers. So we look at this game, we think the pass rush is going to fluster Rodgers. We think the Steelers are going to keep it low scoring, regardless who starts at quarterback. We think it's going to be Russell. We like him here 17-14 over the Jets. And next up, we have the Eagles at the Giants. Tough NFC East rivalry matchup. Looking at these two teams, they play each other tough all the time. We think the Eagles are the better team, but the Giants do tend to defend their home turf. We view this as a Saquon Barkley revenge game, and that will likely likely be the difference. If you look at last year's matchups, the Giants win over the Eagles kind of summarized their late season slump. They went from being the number 1 seed to what they ended up number 4, number 5, losing in the first round at Tampa Bay. But we think this is a different season. We like the fact that they're getting their receivers back, and we think Jalen Hurts, he's got to show some improvement, but he's looking a little bit better week to week. We like him here 28-21. And if you look at that line, we think it should probably be more Eagles minus 3.5 to 4. Giants are likely getting some of that value, being a big market team and being the home team here. But we love the Eagles minus 2.5, so make that your play. Next up, we have the Raiders at the Rams, and right now the Raiders look as bad as any team in the NFL. You put them right there with the Panthers, etc. Definitely underachieving from what we predicted early on, but we also think from a wagering perspective, that's when you kind of have to be cautious because we're looking at the lines here. We're going to give you our score forecast in a second. The Rams are 7-point favorites, and we're wondering why would the Rams be 7-point favorites over anybody? They really haven't played that great. They're not 100%. Again, our forecast is Rams 21-17, but look at this closely. We don't know that it should be a line that high. We're not going to recommend that you pick the Raiders. This is kind of a good game to study versus reputation versus reality. See what happens in this one. Patriots at the Jaguars for another London matchup. We looked at these games and we went back and watched both the Patriots and Jaguars game a little more closely. We watched them live on Sundays. Then we go back and study them, look at the coaches' camera angles, etc. And the Jaguars, we've been giving Trevor Lawrence all sort of criticism, but if you go back and watch that game, four touchdown passes dropped by the receivers. Now, a couple of those plays were great defense by the Bears, but come on, the receivers got to be able to handle the ball. We hope that is a fluke and can turn around. We also like the fact that the Jaguars are already in London. They're kind of acclimated to it. They play there, once or twice every season. It's a little bit of advantage. Plus, going up against a rookie quarterback, Jags here 24-17. We'll give you two best plays for this. So we like the Jags money line. We don't like that 5.5, 6-point line. We think that's no man's land for a favorite. And with rain in the forecast for London, I'd recommend also taking the under. We'll do half positions on both for this game. Bengals at the Browns. This is a tough spot. We remember this was the matchup week 1 in 2023. We were all over the Browns in that game. We thought their pass defense would stifle Joey B and really slow him down, and we still think that will be the case. Take a look at the underplay. We do think the Bengals won't score as much, but again, not to keep picking on Deshaun, but that Browns offense is just not doing anything. So we think the Bengals, who showed a little bit of improvement in the defense in the Sunday night game, we think they will win here in a close one, 20-17, but follow that injury report. Make sure that all the receivers for the Bengals are healthy. We like what they're doing with a combination of T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Really tough to cover those two top receivers. And now for the main event, we've got the Super Bowl rematch. The Chiefs going into Santa Clara to face the NFC champion 49ers. And, when we look at this game, we pick against the Chiefs so much, and we get burnt. And we wonder how much of that is just projection and we're trying to will it to happen. So we think we're going to flip that. We do think the 49ers were fully healthy. If they had Christian McCaffrey, they've got the advantage, especially being at home. But we love what the Chiefs have been doing on defense. We think Steve Spagnuolo is underrated, as you can be, having, 5+ Super Bowl championships as a defensive coordinator. Just unbelievable what he did with the Giants before. Now what he's doing with the Chiefs. So we think it's going to be a low-scoring game at Santa Clara. We like the Chiefs winning narrowly 21-17 over the 49ers.
That's all for this time. Thank you for joining. Please subscribe to our channel, and we look forward to sharing our future videos with you.